Good evening. Do you like mega corporations? Do you want to join the ranks of the global elite, sending millions of peasants to die by your command, whilst you make billions through trade on your very own website? Then I'm sorry to say, but you might just be Oxyotl. Welcome back to Total War, Warhammer 3, and today I'll be attempting to beat the game by founding our very own trade empire by using just armies of expendable skinks in their thousands, while I make my millions off the backs of their hard labor and dead corpses of chaos. Now with the plan out of the way, let us begin. Welcome to Lustria, a vast jungle terrain filled to the brim with dark elves, ratmen, and me, Oxyotl. Well, actually not really. I start here in the southern Chaos Wastes. Now some may be wondering, oh, why are you playing as Oxyotl instead of Nakai, Mazdamundi, or the best lizardmen of all, Mark Zuckerberg? And the answer is simple. In the lizardmen hierarchy, skinks are the lowest of the low, expendable, and bad. But Oxyotl is different. He wants to tear down the class divide and truly bring power to the lizard proletariat. He gives them buffs. That means for this run, we will only be using skinks and skink-related units, meaning that our roster goes from this to this. So God knows, we will need these buffs for the coming battles. With that out of the way, we begin in the Chaos Wastes. Welcome to the Chaos Wastes. Looking mighty hospitable, I know. And looky here, our cornate neighbors want to say hello. And while I would normally be able to whoop their ass, because of the constraints of this challenge, I'm only able to use skink units. So let's just say we needed to do some housekeeping. But after building up our army with units that we can actually use, we proceed to siege their settlement with a very cool estimated outcome. Though it was a bloody battle, the outcome did end up tipping in our favor, allowing us to regroup and continue pushing east across the wastes, and taking out our first faction. Wonderful. But do you know what also has a lot of factions? This video's sponsor. When I spitball facts like amazing graphics, 80 million downloads, and over 800 completely unique champions to collect and customize, what game comes to your mind? If the answer is Raid, Shadow Legends, then you'd be correct. Immerse yourself in one of the best turn-based RPGs currently now on the market, with so many heroes and features that you're bound to find something that you like. My favorite thing to do is to clean out dungeons, defeating the bosses for their juicy loot. And for a limited time, the worlds of Raid and Monster Hunter are coming together for an amazing crossover. As from now to March 5th, players will be able to collect 5 Monster Hunter themed legendary champions within Raid, with one of them, Ralphalos Blademaster, being able to be acquired simply by logging in for 7 days between now and March 5th, with the other 4 being acquired through in-game events. So check and see how you can get your hands on these amazing champions. And that's not all, as Raid has recently introduced the Cursed City, one of the biggest features since the Doom Tower, with over 100 stages to complete, including stages where you need to defeat 2 bosses at once. But that's still not all, as if you use my link in the description or use the QR code on the screen, you'll be able to get 2 epic champions for the price of 1. First is the Lightsworn, a big hunky fella focused on keeping your team alive, and Juliana after you reach level 15, an absolutely busted damage dealer, able to clean up the bosses with ease. Additionally, you can use the promo code RAIDXmas for some more rewards, along with joining my clan, the Goon Cave. You know you want to. So what are you waiting for? Click on the link and I'll see you in the battlefield. Welcome back. After recruiting a second lord and declaring war on the closest Zinj faction, we are made aware of some interesting mechanics, namely hidden sanctums that provide extra building for our settlements, allowing for massive buffs to healing and instant teleportation, and visions of the old ones, which are quests we can send Oxyotl to complete by having him teleport halfway across the world. This is an incredibly busted mechanic, as it allows us to take settlements far outside of what our reach should be, but I don't make use of it just yet because I am stupid, so I instead continue on the war path against the goofy goobers. And let's just say that their attacks slap harder than an Australian father. Soon after, we discover more of our lizard kind, and like the good capitalist I am, I almost immediately offer to sell him consumer goods for my benefit. Bezos would be proud. I also do the same to this dude named Melwyn. Fucking Melwyn. Continuing my crusade, we take out yet another faction, that being the Flaming Scribes, giving us further control over the southern Chaos Wastes. I soon take this success to be a good sign to go on a holiday, and where else would be better than Albion, with all of their hospitable guests, like the Scandinavians and Be'lakor. Needless to say, I think our visas might have been revoked after burning their city down, starting a long and very drawn-out war. The time has come to make a crucial decision. Melwyn has got to go. I cannot stand being in the presence of someone with such a goofy ass name. So we sliced through their armies with ease, taking all of their 2 cities. However, this had the unintended consequence of introducing us to the rats. While I would normally befriend these cute little abominations, I am playing the good guy this run. So the only ways I can communicate with other factions is by trying to swindle them with my cheaply made electronics or by killing them. And since they had resources, they very comfortably fell into category number 2. This is Clan Pestilence, a group of Skaven that are pretty cool, as their whole bit is seeing the Geneva Convention as more of a checklist. Normally they would be pretty alright, but there is a tad bit of an issue. They own the entire right side of Lustria, and are causing our lizard friends a bit of a headache. So we carve up the coast, killing all the rats as we go. At the same time, we take all of Albion, making Bellicor a little bit angry. After a couple more battles and befriending the French, we end up destroying all of Pestilence, solidifying us as the cool guy of the Lizardmen faction. After kicking the shit out of Ratatouille, we decide to go up against the Scandinavians to claim Oxyodl's long golden rod. Don't question it. For this battle, we very simply need to kill a bunch of homeless people, and as the wonderful capitalist that I am very proficient in this kind of work. Next, I shift my focus to kicking Luther Harkin out of Lustria, and as much as I'd like for them to eliminate the French, I have to begrudgingly defend my trading partners, as I have my priorities straight. But returning back to my homeland, I begin a war with our biggest threat so far, Kairos Fateweaver. At this point in the game, Kairos would be my biggest threat, as having a strength rank 11 out of 117 right on my doorstep is not ideal. So I decided to preemptively defend myself, which began with besieging their settlements and claiming their resources. Along with this, we also continue making friends with our lizard brethren, as I enter into a military pact with Itza, who is pretty powerful, for which I immediately get roped into a war with a hunter and his Chinese friends, which I'm just gonna ignore. But looky here, another battle. In this battle, we need to protect Lord Croak as he takes his daily nap. Don't mind that we get slaughtered in the process. After a while, his fellas decide to come out and help, very swiftly turning the battle in our favor, because the units are actually good. With Lord Croak added to our army, I quickly forget about him. Yes, I know he is powerful, but remember that, I am stupid. While wiping the floor with Kairos, there's a Druggo that's taken one too many pills and is now rampaging through Albion. Not good. I begin to panic and try and make an army in time, but it was too late, and Bellicor was too roided up to care, so I lose the island. In the meantime, however, I finally meet the big man himself, Kairos, for which we mop the floor with him with our blowpipes and hammers. The embarrassment and shame had such an effect on Kairos that he decided to fuck back off to the Shadow Realm, giving me complete control over the Southern Chaos Wastes and all of its precious, precious materials, which I can now sell to my neighbors for inflated prices. Now, with the peace that I have achieved on the southern part of the map, I focus more inward on my society, and what better way to improve my empire than by reducing the homeless rate down to 0%. How, you ask? By building more homes? What are you, stupid? The game was so proud of this accomplishment that it rewarded us with a short victory for our efforts. Not content with my expansionism just yet, I decided to reclaim what was rightfully mine from Bellicor, and also expand into the eastern High Elf colonies. Normally the High Elves would be my friends, but these ones have no friends, so do they really exist? But my exploits in the north have not gone unnoticed, as nearly every Chaos faction in the area despises me with a passion, giving me an excuse for another great crusade. The Chaos factions in the north were like a child having a fit after not getting their Fortnite V-Bucks, and so decided to take out their anger on the nearest target. Unfortunately, I made the leader of their pack very sad when I took back his favorite island, and so they all turned their attention onto me. But while they marinate in their anger, I send Oxyodl to create more branch offices in search of new commercial partnerships, this time in Nagaroth. We just needed to clear out some protesters who didn't want a Walmart on their native land. Too bad. Back at Albion, you could say things were getting a little busy as Prince Sigvald and his sex demons were readying themselves to take my island. Let's just say, it didn't go well for them. Because at this point in the game, I was very comfortably number 1 on the strength rankings, as I kept pumping out armies of cheap units at a rapid pace. I got a bit too big for my britches and started seeking out areas for conflict. As I am an expert on crackhead mentality, I know that if you seek out and defeat the alpha crackhead, the other ones will respect your authority and kneel to their new king. So I ask you, who is a bigger crackhead than Scarbrand the Exiled, a creature so angry that he completely wiped out Cetra before I even arrived? The reason I say I got a bit ahead of myself is that I sent in a completely new army to fight Skarbrand, only for it to get immediately crushed and feed Skarbrand more crack energy, making him even stronger. Realizing that my strategy of throwing the lower class at an issue would not work, I started to panic. But we'll put a pin in that for now, as we have finally found the man feeding out of the Chick-fil-A garbage bins. We have cornered Be'lakor. I expected this to be an intense, blood-pumping battle, only for him to die in 2 seconds from my ranged units, and the rest of the battle is just cleaning up. To say I'm disappointed would be an understatement, but no matter, as I soon get a mission to take a settlement from Archaon, the very scary man who's supposed to bring about the end of the world as we know it, or for me to take a city from him and immediately fuck off. He is never seen again in this campaign from this very point. But in other news, we begin to take land in the northern Chaos Wastes, hoping for a speedy win in the war, as very soon we'll have to worry about a much bigger threat to the world. The war with Skarbrand was not going well, as yet again, much to my shame, I had to ally with the French to allow me to enter their land, as Skarbrand went on a tizzy, destroying all of my settlements. This meant that I needed to finally bring in the big guns, meaning I sent Oxyotl in to kick his ass. At the same time, I begin sending all my armies on world-spanning missions to go and assist the forces up in the north. A vampire lady declared war on me for some reason, and you can see that my current foreign policy is working wonders. With Skarbrand out of the way, I begin to quickly carve up the southern Badlands, while making friends with the local lizard populace. After killing Skarbrand, we become very popular with many factions around the world, to the point that they are all begging and pleading me to sell them my shit. And who am I to disagree? With the Chaos forces in the southern Badlands destroyed, I can shift my attention to the war in the north, which has all but hit a stalemate since a certain someone keeps taking back all the cities that I conquer. But does that stop me? Of course not. I am what the cool kids call loaded, so I can continue to pump out my shitty skink armies without a care in the world, so that I can finally kick these abominations out of my territory. Over time, we are able to push them slowly but surely back to their most defendable citadels, where they cower and wait for the inevitable fate they so deserve. However, there is a bit of a problem, as the dwarves have had enough. The dwarves, once some of my biggest trading partners, were about to go sicko mode, but there was a bit of an issue that I faced. Most of my high-level armies were in the north, and considering that my entire military was made up of low-tier units, those levels truly made all the difference. So in a panic, I finally finish up my affairs in the north to the best of my ability, and begin shipping down my armies for the coming battles, as well as making more pacts between me and my allies, until the dreaded day came. The dwarves were pissed and ready to crack some skulls. Now the dwarf endgame crisis is pretty straightforward. See these city names? We need to control at least 6 of these, directly or through our military partners. So, time to get to work. I first direct most of my attention to Clan Angrund, a relatively small dwarf faction right on my border, which then proceeds to kick my ass a couple times. Along with this, we suddenly have many factions break their trade agreements with us because they don't like that we went to war with the dwarves. Huh? Not only was this war wiping my armies, but it was also taking a hit on my economic prospects, which is not a risk that I can afford to take. So I start to get my ass in gear, recruiting even more armies to my capitalist cause. Angrund continues to be a pain, but we begin to make a dent in their forces only after sacrificing 3 other armies. Meanwhile, the last defenders manage to take out the dwarves in the Southlands, giving us 1 more city, slowly but surely stepping us closer to our goal of an ultimate campaign victory. After losing more armies to Belgar, I finally decide to send Oxyotl in, and we, if just barely, manage to put Belgar in the dirt and claim his city. Now we shift our attention entirely to Thorgrim Grudgebearer and his armies in the mountains, and after some headache-inducing battles and a scavenger hunt that is searching for the right cities, we had got to the point that we only needed 1 more. Karaz-a-Karak. As is normally the case for dwarf settlement battles, this battle was an absolute pain. It also didn't help that the door was bugged. Thanks, Creative Assembly, very cool. But regardless, we ended up killing many midgets and claiming victory. The whole world now owed its existence to Oxyotl's monopolistic corporation. Now all that's left for him is to make his own private space company to expand his business to the stars. And, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me. Thank you once again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Remember to use my link in the description to claim your rewards. More videos on the way, soon.